We're live.
All right. Wow. Cool. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the MakeCode Arcade Advanced stream, where a bunch of the MakeCode devs stream some games in arcade. I'm Shannon. I'm at Shakao on the MakeCode forums.
I'm Richard. I'm at Richard on the MakeCode forums.
I'm Daryl. I'm at Darzu on the MakeCode forums.
And I'm Joey at JWonderl on the MakeCode forums.
So this week we've been taking one of our home screen games, Flappy Duck, and modding it to create kind of a more interesting, more customized version of the game. So I'm just gonna play through what we've built so far. So this is sort of the standard version of Flappy Duck, where you have your duck and you're going between these obstacles. And we added a feature where you have multiple lives, and those lives are displayed as eggs that float behind you. And then when your duck hits an obstacle, the egg hatches into a baby duck and you become the baby. And every 10 obstacles, you get a new life.
You're much better at this than Daryl is.
I've been practicing. So if you remember in the last stream, we added the eggs and we added the animation for the eggs to hatch when you collide. And then we came up with a bunch of different ideas for other things we could add to the game. So we were talking about this a little bit off stream, and I think a thing we thought would be cool was to take Daryl's idea of having the eggs hatch into different types of birds and combining that with the idea of power-ups. So different birds could have different abilities. So I think that is what I'm going to attempt to do this time.
Should we brainstorm some example birds and their abilities?
That's a great idea.
So
I think I said this one the other day, but I want to do a woodpecker that can go through the logs.
Oh, yeah.
So you can like temporarily kind of just break through.
Cool.
Maybe I liked your idea of a hummingbird as well, like something so tiny that it's easier to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, hummingbirds can hover in place. I wonder if that could be a mechanic too. Like maybe you could just pause, you know?
Yeah, so I didn't know how to control, like, so the question was, right now, Flappy Duck is a one-button game, right? You hit one button and you go up, and then gravity brings you down. So I wasn't sure how it would look if we suddenly changed the controls, but I don't know, that's something we could talk about. Yeah, like.
Yeah. Maybe we wouldn't have to change the controls. Like, maybe on like a difficult section, or if we knew you were about to hit a log, it would pause or something.
Like freeze time?
Yes.
That's cool.
If that happened, I would totally fall to the bottom of the screen.
Any other birds?
So there's also the possibility of this being a detriment. Like you could turn into a really big bird, like an albatross.
Right, an albatross. The natural large bird.
It is. It's a big bird.
The first big bird that comes to mind.
It has like the largest wingspan.
Really?
I think so.
I think so.
I'm going to fact check this while we think more.
That sounds like a good starting point. We can always add more.
Yeah, that's true. Cool.
Yes. The wandering albatross has the longest wingspan.
All right. So, so here's my plan. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change it so that when you hatch into a bird, you hatch into a random kind of bird, and you don't know what kind you are until you hatch. And then if we have time after that, I might see if I can change the types of eggs as well, so that you can see what kind of bird you'll be before you hatch. So
Makes sense.
Cool. All right. So if we go up, I think last time Daryl created this helpful function called hatch egg. So in here, we grab one of our eggs, we set the egg to follow the player, and then we set the kind to the hatching egg. Actually, I think I might need to go a little bit after. There's an
on destroy event somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. All right. So here we destroy our damaged player. We call create player. We set the position. So actually, I think I'm just going to go into create player. Cool. And we aren't using this invincibility animation anymore. So I'll delete this. And I'm going to add an if statement. Oops. All right. So yes. Then I'm going to go into math, and we have this helpful block called percent chance. So I think most of the time, let's say 80% of the time, you'll be a regular duck, and then be a small chance of being a different thing. So I think I'm going to start with the hummingbird, which is just a smaller bird than the duck, and then we can see about adding different kinds of birds and different abilities for those birds. So I'm going to copy this block. And this one we can share.
So that block you're copying, what does that one do exactly?
This acceleration block?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this sets the gravity in the world. So like we've talked about before, the y direction starts at 0, 0 up here and goes positive in the down direction. So when we set the acceleration to 300, we're setting gravity to 300 pixels per second. So that the player is always falling unless you hit the button to flap up.
Sounds good.
And and then I will add an animation. I guess I should just copy this like setup.
Yeah, you can just reuse that jumping one, and then we won't have to change the code anywhere else.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so I copied the entire outer block, and then I'm just going to grab this inside one and put it here. All right, cool. And then I will say again.
I didn't know you could collapse comments. That's nifty.
Oh yeah, we added it a while back, but I think comments in general are pretty hidden. So, and then oh geez, okay, what does a hummingbird look like? It's like a duck but smaller.
That's actually I think what it says in the encyclopedia article for hummingbirds.
Mm-hmm. Exactly like a duck but tiny. All right. They're like green and blue, right?
Yeah.
They have like a little long beak.
Yeah.
They're very small for getting deep inside the little flowers. They often have a very colorful throat.
Oh, yes. Ruby-throated. Okay. Some red.
They're pretty narrow as well.
And then I guess I'll do this with wings. Okay.
great.
Yeah, it should be
Thank-
mentioned that Shannon is by far the best at drawing of all of us.
All right, I don't really know what I'm doing here, so
One thing though, I'm not actually sure this is smaller than the duck.
yeah, that's fair. Definitely its face is not. Let me maybe just collapse it up and in. There?
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay.
What if we had that ruby throat again?
Oh, yeah. Bring that guy back. Cool.
Do you know that hummingbirds can flap their wings between 12 and 80 times a second?
This has been Bird Facts with the MakeCode team.
I'm going to give facts on all the birds.
We are an educated platform. Ooh, that was too much. All right, so you're 14 by 14. Is that significant enough?
I wonder if you could take off 2 or 3 pixels from the top. Like, they don't. I don't think hummingbirds have a little tuft out of their head.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought that was the other wing.
Oh.
Ah, the duck only has one wing. Like this.
Yeah.
And
It's smaller, but it's also sparser. So I think that it'll end up being...
yeah.
Our collisions
So-
are pixel perfect, so it should be a bit better.
Another way you could make it feel smaller is gravity sort of applies less because of more air
That's
resistance.
true. Yeah.
And then maybe your jumping is a little bit gentler too, so you have to tap the button more, but I think you'd get more control overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's in line with how hummingbirds work, right? They have to flap their wings a lot, so maybe you have to hit the button a lot.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to take this block and add it back into... So before I was setting the gravity to be the same regardless of what kind of bird you are. So here I'm going to change it so that if you're a duck, you have gravity set to 300, and if you're a hummingbird, you have gravity set to... Something is happening with these obstacles.
Oh, that happens when your computer's running slowly. So if you stop editing and probably focus on the simulator, it'll fix back up.
Yeah, all right. Cool, I'll just pause it for now. Okay, so now we have this hummingbird, and I'm going to, for now, cut down this animation.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then we have this handy feature where, oh, sorry?
I'd say there are many good games that have 2-frame walking and moving animations. Super Mario World, Minute.
Yes, Minute's great. Cool, and we have this handy feature where if you drag this image block, it'll automatically duplicate. So I dragged it out, I put it into this frame, and I'm just gonna do like a flap.
Awesome.
I guess the bird should move up. Cool.
Awesome.
All right. So let's see. And then I'm going to set this to 0 for now so that we can just see what happens with our birds. Sweet. Oh, right. And then the gravity. So you can tell there's a lot less gravity, but we also didn't change the upward motion. So you go up a lot higher when you try and flap. All right. So let's see. So that is in this on any button pressed.
You could check to see what the gravity is and then switch on that if you want.
Is that like
Good? No.
okay? Yeah, let's just do it. Cool. I guess we could also set variables in the created. That's like.
Oh, that's a much better solution. Yeah, let's do that.
Acceleration. Okay, let's do that then. We are sort of racking up those variables, but.
Okay.
Flap. Cool. So if you're a duck, you get the standard, and then upwards is negative, so that's negative 100. And then here we changed the acceleration to 1/3 of the usual. So I'm gonna also change this to 1/3.
So another thought, if the it could be that having low gravity makes it too hard to get down when you need to. So another thing we could do is cap the max velocity, right? Terminal velocity could be lower for a bird that's lighter and has, lots of friction on the air.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let me run this first, and then we can try and figure out what kind of number we should cap the velocity at. Okay, this is easier, I think. And if you go up, but yeah, it is harder to get down when you have to drop very fast.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I think maybe we don't need to make any changes. That seems pretty good.
Yeah. I like the flying animation. Also looks pretty cool.
It works well because you can't see hummingbirds' wings anyway when they flap, so you're like, oh, that's intentional. Cool. And then I guess the last thing to do is that hatching animation. I don't know. Do we need a different hatching animation?
Maybe a different color. I think you could just fill it, teal instead of yellow.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so that means in this hatch egg function, I need to know what kind of bird I'm going to hatch into.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Do we want to do this at hatch time, or do we want to do it beforehand? So I know we talked about before off stream, making it so that the eggs themselves looked different, so you kind of know what's coming up next.
Yeah, and that's a thing I like because it adds a layer of strategy. So you can see, oh, I have, a duck and then a hummingbird, or I have an ostrich and then a hummingbird. So if I die very quickly, then I get, a better bird.
Right.
Does the ostrich just immediately get to its?
It's got big legs. It can walk over the.
Like, oh, you think you had a new life coming? Nope, it's an ostrich. Next.
I think one of our birds should be like a cow or something. I don't know.
Maybe with the ostrich, it becomes a platformer. You jump from the top of log to top of log.
Oh man.
One of our birds could be a balloon and gravity's reversed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Cool. Okay. Right. Sorry. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? the randomized versus tracking eggs versus?
I think a different egg would be pretty cool.
Cool. Okay. So I think we were talking about a couple different ways to do this, but I think my plan is going to be, instead of using this array of sprites of kind egg, I'm going to create my own array, track the eggs, and then create another array that's parallel to this one that tracks what kind each egg is, basically. I don't know. How does that sound to you guys?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
Actually, no, yeah, that sounds good. I was thinking you could do different sprite kinds for each different type of egg, but I think that doesn't work well because it doesn't get you too much, and you can't have a list of all the different eggs that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the problem is they need to all be egg kinds, and then they also need to be different.
They need multiple kinds.
Yeah, I think any way we do this, we're gonna have to create an array of eggs.
Yeah.
So
it's a good time to learn about array creation.
Yeah, it's true. All right. So let's see. In our onStart, I will create an array that is, well, I guess we could do this. So arrays are under advanced, and then we have this set list 2. I'll rename this. Create a second one that is, all right, and I'm going to set them both to be empty. And then anytime we create an egg, so we can go directly to our function, which is add egg, we can add this egg to the array.
So arrays are just a list of things, right?
Right. Yes. And they can be a list of any things. A rule that we have is that they have to all be the same type of thing. So you can have an array of numbers, or an array of strings, or an array of eggs, egg images, sprites. But you can't have an array that is numbers and sprites, or numbers and strings.
Makes sense. That would make our code much more complicated anyway.
All right, so I'm going to do this. Set egg to this, add value egg to end. And then I'm going to also add so instead of deciding what kind of bird we are here using this %chance, we're going to move all of that logic into the add egg. So add egg will decide what kind of egg we are, and then inside create player, we're just going to grab the matching kind and hatch it into the correct bird.
Sounds good.
Cool. So going to logic. And grab this %chance block again. Right. And then, so I need to represent what kind this egg is in some way. Do you guys have any suggestions?
Well, when we were doing that before, I don't remember which game it was we were working on, but we were using numbers to represent it, and we just kind of kept a list of the numbers.
Oh, yeah. I think that was the Game Jam game, right? Was the directions?
Yes, that's what it was.
Cool. Okay. That's good. So if I go into math, there's this floating number block. So I'm going to add another comment here just to track what the kinds are. And cool. And then I'll make the hummingbird egg a different color. It'll just be the same color as the hummingbird.
Oh, just make it a really tiny egg.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea.
I did just look up what hummingbird eggs look like. They look exactly like chicken eggs, just real tiny.
Oh, man. Okay. I don't have spots or anything?
Nope.
All right. There we go. Tiny egg.
Nice.
All right, so again, I have a 0% chance up here just so that we'll always see the hummingbird for now, and then we can adjust percents later as we go. And then I haven't adjusted the create player code. Let's just, right, so this is our tiny egg. I think I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller just to make it more obvious.
It could be small and blue.
Could be small and blue. That's true. But then we wouldn't be, scientifically rigorous, Daryl. And where would we?
That would ruin the whole premise.
What if an ornithologist plays our game? We would be so embarrassed.
All right, cool. So those are tiny eggs to go with our tiny bird. And then I'm going to go, so instead of using this array of sprites of kind egg, I've now created our own array that we're keeping track of. So I'm just going to use that directly. So eggs. Oh. Cool. And then
I think that you might need to change that get value at.
yes. So right now we're just getting the value and the array isn't changing, but before we were setting the duck kind to hatching egg. And so that was sort of automatically removing it from that array of, kind, all sprites of kind egg. So now we have to manually go in and get and remove first value. Cool, from eggs. Great. Yeah, so how does this look? If there are eggs in our array, then we grab our first one and we set it to be the new duck.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So the first eggs into the list are the first eggs out of the list.
Yes, so that they're always in order, right? Because we're adding to the end and then we're removing from the front.
Right.
One quick thing, could we look at the on start again? I think there might have been a minor bug there.
Oh, yes.
We need to put the initialization above the add egg.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. So we want to set these arrays to be empty arrays before we add a bunch of eggs to them. Otherwise it'll...
I think you're also going to have to move the create player at the end.
Yes. Cool. And one more here. So right now we're going through, well, this is probably still okay.
Yeah, that's actually fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Hopefully the order.
Yeah, the order might change.
I mean, it wasn't when we were playing before.
Well, they were all the same I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
If it's weird, we can go back. Cool. So then the last thing we need to do is, instead of doing % chance here, we're going to grab the kind of egg that we have and create our bird based on that. So I'm removing the value here. I can remove it in this function and just sort of assume that we will be synced because how we're calling it, or I can in here also remove the get for like kind, save in a global variable, and then read that variable, or
Right.
I don't know, something else. What do you guys think?
That sounds better to me, just because then we have the array stuff next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Conceivably, you could call add player from hatch egg as well, or create player, and you can maybe pass it as a parameter.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, but the hatch egg happens at the end of the lifespan. So the hatch egg happens, and then we create player when the lifespan is destroyed. So it's
right.
an async thing
Right.
happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hatching before we create.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll store it for now, and then.
Sounds good.
Man, kind. Cool. All right, so this sort of ensures that our eggs and egg kinds arrays are always, in sync with each other. We're adding to them in the same place and then removing from them in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And then here, we're going to say if drag out an equals, and drag out the variable we just created, which is current bird kind. So if it equals 0, which is duck, then we create a duck. Otherwise, we create this hummingbird.
Cool. That's perfect also because since duck is 0 and we initialize numbers to 0, when the first player gets created, it will always be a duck.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So let's give this a shot. See what happens. All right, yeah, here's a duck, died. And we're a hummingbird. Cool. So I'm going to update that animation so that you can tell what kind of bird you are. And then I'll back and change the probabilities so that you'll get, some ducks and some hummingbirds. So here, I'm going to add another if statement. It's going to be if the current bird kind, so same as before. We're going to check and see if the current bird is a duck, and you can animate it with the duck. Otherwise, I'm going to duplicate this block. Ah, goodness. All right. Cool. And scroll down here. I'll make it, the hummingbird was green, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think the beak was blue.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sweet. Oh, one more.
This is my favorite frame of the animation, by the way.
It's very good. And then I'm gonna make this egg just a little bit smaller. No, that's too much. Just sort of approximating. I think it'll be animating anyway, so it's probably not a huge deal.
I think it's fine if it gets
We
big
can
again
say
once the cracking is happening, because then
Right.
yeah.
It's like expanding as it cracks,
Mm-hmm.
as the shell splits. Cool. Okay, let me play this up here. And we'll give that a shot.
Can you go full screen?
Yes. Let me. Bird. Oh. And you're green because you're hummingbird, and then you hatch. Sweet. All right.
How's the gameplay with the hummingbird? Does it feel easier?
I think it is. Yeah. I think the lag in my computer is also causing the pillars to be closer, which maybe is easier. I don't know. I don't have to.
I mean, it looks easier because, I mean, most of our gates appear pretty close to each other. So if you're more floaty, holding position is usually better than moving up or down.
Right, yeah. And it means you move a lot less with each like up or down movement, so it's a lot easier to be precise.
Right.
Okay. So let's say 80%. Well, okay, let's start with 50 just to see if we can get a couple different eggs in this.
Sounds good.
Full screen. All right, so those are both hummingbirds, which is no good. There we go.
Cool. So for that one, we got one hummingbird and one duck.
Sweet. And then if I die as a hummingbird, I should reincarnate as a duck. Awesome.
I don't know if it's technically reincarnation, considering you can see the other egg.
That's true. My legacy
Can't call
lives
this
on.
falling duck generations anymore because they're different species.
Oh yeah. Well,
You know, family is something from the Fast and Furious franchise. Family is more than blood. I don't know.
something like that.
Thanks, Dominic Toretto.
All right, cool. So what do you guys think? Anything else? Any other?
That seems awesome. What if we change percent? Did you change it back to 80 already?
No, I made it 50, but I'll bump it up.
Cool. Don't want it to be too easy.
Yeah.
So one thing about this code is I think it works really well when we have two types of eggs.
Mm-hmm.
But when we have more, if we want to give them equal probabilities, we're going to have to figure something out. That's probably something that's extreme.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, we could add, I guess, yeah, it'll have to be, we'd have to do a lot of math if we're keeping it in this if statement. So we could think about changing it. Cool. So does this feel like a good stopping place for today?
Seems
Sure, we
good
still
to
need
me.
to come up with a game name.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Family is more than genetics. Evolution.
Something about flocks?
Falling ducks. We flock together.
I like that.
I like it. Falling bird.
Oh, yeah, right.
Gotta be properly generic.
All right. Well, Thank you guys for joining us. If you come back, we'll be here at the same time tomorrow, and we're going to be expanding this game even more. I'm Shannon from the MakeCode team. I'm at Shakao on the forums.
I'm Richard, at Richard on the MakeCode forums.
I'm Daryl, at Darzu on the forums.
I'm Joey, at JWonderl on the forums.
Cool. And you can find our forums at forum.makecode.com. So we hang out there. We, give feedback on games, post about new features. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Great.
And also remember that we've got a game jam going on right now. You can find all the information in the forum, and you can go to itch.io to submit your games. The theme is one room, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. It ends on Monday, so get started. I know I have.
I haven't.
All right. Well, see you later.